Good afternoon and welcome to the Las Vegas Rotary Club. A connection to this fine city like no other, with friendship and camaraderie you can actually feel. Providing a grounding, we shake off negative comments or thoughts because we are interested in aligning with our greater purpose, and a foundation and service to others that at times will go unrecognized, but fully realized by those you've served. My name's Kirk Alexander, and I'm honored to be the president of this fine club. So we're going to have an inspirational leadership thought of the day and an invocation given by Mike Ballard. And I believe, where did he go? There he is.
Bow your heads and join me in prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, as we bow our heads at the start of this meeting, we're grateful to gather in the spirit of Rotary, which is the spirit of giving and the spirit of service. We're grateful for this great organization and its history that helps us to have avenues of service to be able to help our fellow men and women and children. We're grateful for the many great leaders that have helped lead this organization internationally, nationally, and locally. At this time, we're grateful for this gathering today, and we ask thee to bless this meeting. Bless our fellowship, bless the food to our nourishment and strength. Bless us that as we travel in this weather, that we'll be safe and can get to our destinations in peace. We say these things in the name of our Savior. Amen. Amen.
All right, Jerry Engel is going to lead us in song. He's got a song for all the sweethearts in the room, he told me. And he's got his harmonica, that's dangerous.
Well, I'm going to prove to you that even though I'm 95, I can still be romantic. So I'm going to transform all of you back about 80 years. We're going to listen to a beautiful love ballad sang by Frank Sinatra in a rowboat. So I'm going to ask you to just listen, and I have Stu putting the words up here. Those are the words. It's time after time. And I'm going to play the melody, and then I'm going to ask you all, we'll sing it together. Are you ready? Ready. And by the way, Rotary isn't paying me, so I'm entitled to a few mistakes. So, there are the words. You heard the melody. Let's sing it. Here we go. Time after time, I tell myself that I'm so lucky to be loving you. So lucky to be the one you want to see in the evening when the day is through. I only know what I know. The passing years will show you've kept my young love so true. And time after time, I tell myself that I'm so lucky to be loving you.
Thank you. Beautiful. You promised it would be beautiful. You were right. All right. For the Pledge of Allegiance, led by our Sergeant at Arms today, Robert Smalley. Where is he? Where is Robert?
I pledge allegiance.
Before you have a seat, we'll recite the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. All right, have a seat. I've got a little something for Valentine's Day that I'd like to share with you. They say there's a blurred line between the two words complete or finished. Is it complete, finished, or completely finished? One way of defining the difference was from a linguistic competition held in London and attended by supposedly the best in the world, Sandar Balgobin, a Guyanese man, a clear winner with a standing ovation which lasted over 5 minutes. The final question was, how do you explain the difference between complete and finished in a way that is easy to understand? Remember, it's Valentine's Day. Some people say there is no difference between complete and finished. The astute answer, when you marry the right woman, you are complete. When you marry the wrong woman, you are finished. And when the right one catches you with the wrong one, you're completely finished. Happy Valentine's Day. All right, I'm going to have Lynn Ng come up and share a Rotary moment she recently experienced. I heard her telling me this story, and I thought, wow, you guys should all hear this.
Hello. I was so excited to become a Rotarian and to get what I thought was going to be a big Rotary pin. So I saw this, I looked at this pin and I said, gee, that's a really tiny little pin. You know, I don't want to lose it or anything like that. But I always kept thinking about it as a tiny little pin. But I didn't realize how powerful this pin actually is, despite its size. The first time I became aware of it was when I was traveling to Calgary. My mom's family is from Calgary, Moose Jaw, and Vancouver. So, and actually, what a coincidence, sitting beside me is Mr. Murray, and I forgot your last name? Lego, from Calgary. So through him, I'm going to be able to trace more of my mother's side of the family. So hopefully with my next trip. Anyway, I remember how it is to go through an airport and go into the immigration and to be let in. You know, besides they asking you, is this pleasure or business? They want to ask you all kinds of other questions. I would just say, well, I'm here on family, I guess. And he says, oh, you're a Rotarian. And I said, yes. He goes, oh, come on, dude. You know, it was like not a big deal. I said, oh, this is a small pin, but it carries some clout. I had no idea of the amount of clout that it would carry, because my next trip was with my 2 kids to Panama. We were flying from LA to Mexico City, where we had to change planes. However, I did not know that I had to go through Mexican immigration, even though I was still at the same airport. I thought I would just go from one gate to the other gate, you know, just really simple, right? So we get up to the gate, and they said, "Oh, no, you have, ma'am." And I said, "Ma'am, okay." "No, no, ma'am, you have to go through immigration." I said, "Where is it?" And I'd point down, you know, because I don't speak much Spanish. The only Spanish I have, I've learned off the street. So, you know, I didn't want to use it at the airport. And so they pointed, I said, it was downstairs. And I said, "Oh no, how are we going to do this?" And the gate agent said, "Well, hurry." So I ran as fast as I could. I told my kids, you know, talk to somebody and see if they can hold the plane for us, maybe. And so my son stayed behind. My daughter helped me run all the way down to what I thought was the subterranean basement where the immigration is. And there was this humongous throng of people. They were all in line, and there were only like 3 agents working. And I had 10 minutes to catch this flight. So my son finally caught up with me, and he was like, and he says, "Mom, we're never going to get through this. We're never going to do it because we're at the end of this line that's out the door." And I said, "Oh, wait, I'll go. There are men there with machine guns. I'm going to talk to somebody who could help us through. I know what an AR, I know what an AR-15, no, it's an AK-47, right? And an AR-15. Yeah, I just get the numbers mixed up." And I said, my son said, "You're going to talk to those guys with those machine guns?" I said, "Well, we're late. Just explain it to them. It's not a big deal." He goes, you know. I said, "I'm going." So I looked for somebody who seemed to have the most stripes, you know, or something. And I went up and I said in my best Spanglish, "Señor Capitan," you know. And I pointed to my Rotary pin and I said, "I'm very late." And then some more pantomime after I show him my ticket, you know. I show him my ticket and I pointed to my watch and he goes, "Oh." So next thing I know, he gets on his walkie-talkie and he calls the supervisor out and sets up a special line for me and my kids. However, my children have both hidden in the line because I guess my son thought, "Mom, no, let's not do this, you know, because they're going to line up us against a wall and, and do something to us, you know." And he really was reluctant, but I think he was a sergeant, really, but I called him Senior Capitan, you know, give him a higher rank. I thought maybe, and he walked back and he goes like this, you know, to the family, and so they reluctantly followed me. We went straight through. You know, all I did was show this pin. They didn't know me. This is only my first time through Mexico Airport. I was really astonished, and my son kept looking like, where are they going to come to take us away? You know, we made it back up, and he had the supervisor call to hold the plane for us. And I was, you know, there was a tip, but, you know, there was a tip for me for that. That was the first time I realized the absolute power that belonging to Rotary International and the group, it's worldwide. We have what, 1.2, 1.3 million members? It's a small pin, but it has a huge, huge international cachet. Because subsequent to that, I was in Munich on my way to Paris, and when you walk through, I just go, and they let me and my whole family go through. It's not, they just see it as standing for character, high moral values, and people who are what my family calls do-gooders, you know? And everybody knows what Rotary is. It just was so amazing to be part. And now I realize how, even though this pin is small, I am very grateful to be a member of this community. Thank you for listening.
I'm going anywhere. Come in. Now that was a Rotary moment. Thank you. All right. Let's burn on a little bit here, as a literature teacher used to say to us. Setup team today is Elliot Harris and Lynn Ng. Thank you very much for doing that. We have warm welcome greeters Patrick Bollinger and Leah Havlin. I think there were a number of people actually giving out flowers at the front door. That was very nice. David Jones and Stu Lipoff on the marketing presentations on the screen. And the closing team is Michael Williams. Did Michael make it? There he is. Welcome, Michael. Raffle ticket sales by Bob Heiser, and recording our history, our scribe today is Aaron Campio. Facebook streaming by the media team, and capturing the moment for meeting photographer is Samantha, I believe. Samantha, you here? Yes, very good. All right, with that being said, we have a guest speaker today, and our speaker chair introducing him. So some of us have had the pleasure of having Mr. Jessup here in the past, many different times, in a whole different role. But he's going to do something today I think we'll all have a great deal of interest in. And I'm looking forward to what he has to say, because he's part of this group that Tarby has penetrated that is very, very edge-cutting. Tarby Bryant and his wife Vivian are sitting with us at the head table as well, and we will continue on with that. Thank you, Tarby. Appreciate it. All right. So now I'd like to go into, we have a few different guests today. Obviously, we have a lot of guests, but I'm going to go with visiting Rotarians first. Is there any visiting Rotarians? I know of one. He's our international guest. John Rizzo is back here. Yeah, right there.
Thank you, thank you. I am compelled to steal a line from When Harry Met Sally. I want what Jerry has. That guy is incredible at 95. I'm John Rizzo, AKA Johnny Riz from the Summerlin Club. I am the current president and fall guy. Yes, slip and fall here on a piece of ice in Las Vegas. Can you believe it? I'm here humbly to share with you our upcoming Mardi Gras event that's 9 days away on February 22nd at the JW Marriott. I have some flyers here, or you can go on to mardigras.vegas and get some tickets. I will tell you, we're about 100 short of where we were last year. So any support would be great. And of course, we always love fellow Rotarians. Thank you for having me here. And I will stay after.
Welcome, John, anytime. Any other visiting Rotarians? All right, so we have, how about guests of Rotarians and guests of the club? There's going to be a lot of this.
Hi, I'm Stu Lipoff, and I have the benefit of many riches here at my table. My wife Harriet is with me, and for another week, my son Sam visiting from Indonesia. But that's not all. We've got 2 hero teachers from Hollingsworth who are visiting us today. Julie is the assistant principal, and Vanessa is the community relations. So thank you very much for coming.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Joe Labosco. I'm a guest of Andrew Thurlow here. I work at U.S. Bank with Andrew in the Private Wealth Mortgage Group, and I'm happy to be here today. This is a great event so far.
Guests of Rotarians, there's lots of them in the room.
Karen Wisenhunt, and I'm glad to have my husband here, Tom Wisenhunt, 33-year anniversary tomorrow.
Good afternoon, everybody. Past President Jim Hunt. I'm honored to have my sweetheart Leslie Mujica here from 11 years together, going strong, still growing strong. Thanks.
I'm past President Tom Krob. I have my lovely wife Jane with me today.
Past President Randy Donald, and rounding out the sweethearts at this table is my wife, Sally Donald.
I'm Steve Casey, and I have my wife, Linda, and I'm very glad to have her here. We're going to celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary this July, but we won't be here, so I'm telling you about it now. You can send presents anytime. Thanks.
It's all right, you weren't here for your 50th anniversary. We recognized you either. So it's 50-50 for you this year, Steve. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Thank you again, another past President Brock Frazier, and I have my main squeeze here. Many of you know Rebecca Miracle.
Welcome.
I'm Pete Smellis, and my bride of 56 years is Pam.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
I'm Michael Williams, and I'm proud and honored to have my granddaughter here, Taylor Dury, and she's relocated to Las Vegas from Australia just in the last few months.
Welcome. What happened to our microphone? There it is.
Past President Mike Ballard, I've got my lovely wife, Robin.
Welcome, Robin.
And I'm pleased to have my sweetheart, Roger, with me today.
Welcome. Any others? Karen?
Somehow this got forgotten last week. Hannah, where are you? Okay.
We're going to need a battery for that thing, it sounds like. It looks like. All right. We have any other guests or Rotarians in the room? All right, we have a couple of international guests. Janice, want to introduce one?
Hello, Janice Ledke, President-elect. Demi, if you'd stand up. I want to introduce you to Demi. Demi was a Rotarian in the Philippines. She joined in 2021. She is now in Vegas for about a year now. Her son's lived here for quite a few years. And this is I asked her, which clubs have you checked out? And only ours. And I said, okay, that's all you need to know. So Demi would like us to consider her for membership. So I know Melanie will most likely be in touch with you pretty quick. So welcome to our club.
Any other international guests? Somebody want to introduce Murray, or you know what? Have Murray introduce himself, yes.
Hi, my name is Murray Flagel from Calgary, Alberta. I know you guys quite well, actually. When I left yesterday flying, it was minus 25. Lots of snow. The reason I'm telling you that, we keep it in the winter months, though. So in June, when you come for the Rotary Convention, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. I'm co-chairing the entertainment for the Rotary International Convention, and we've got some great, great entertainment. And I know there's, I think, 21 or 22 of you all signed up for the home hospitality night. It's going to be exciting. So I'm excited to be here back, and I'm here a couple months, so thanks for having me.
Murray, you have any idea how many people will be attending the conference?
Right now we're close to 30,000 registered.
Very good. 30,000 registered for international conference. That's getting back to normal and usual numbers. All right. It takes care of our guests, I believe. There's something that, before I get started on announcements, that I want to personally say to the foundation of our club, and I don't mean the foundation. I mean the people that have made up this club, that are sitting in this room over many, many decades, and they're still here with us. The past presidents should be recognized and honored because this weekend happens to be President's Day weekend. So I thought I would take the opportunity to say thank you, each and every one of you, for everything you do for our club. Mic 2 is ready. All right, so let's get started with the Super Bowl pool and the results that you all got email about. But Jim Tucker is going to come up, past President Jim Tucker, and make the presentations.
Thank you, Kirk. Okay. I guess everybody watched the Super Bowl. Anyway, the first quarter winner is R. Hedrick. If you'd like to come up and receive a check. Rosalie. You didn't spell your full name out on the board.
Oh, so I didn't put it there.
You're known as R.
I can go by R. Thank you.
You're welcome. And second one, Bob Werner. Oh, he's not even here. Okay. Larry Cohen, the third quarter. Congratulations, Larry. And the final was Nikki Judium. For $1,000, she'll be at the bar buying drinks. Thank you, Nikki. And I'd like to thank everybody that got on the board. That means $2,500 to our foundation. And we'll be passing this around so you can look at it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Appreciate that very much. All right, so for the rest of announcements today, I would like, let's see, Janice Lanke, President-elect Janice Lanke, Karen Wiesenhunt, past President Karen Wiesenhunt. I don't believe is David Jones here? I don't believe he is. Don Holland and Rosalie Hedrick and Tony Kern to gather in the middle of the room, please, and make an announcement on the respective things that you wanted to talk about today.
Okay, on behalf of Janice, wherever she is, District Assembly is April 11th to the 13th, and you need to sign up at the District 5300 website. The 11th is District Assembly, so the incoming board members, we hope that you can make it to District Assembly. If you don't want to stay for the whole conference, then just fly in on the 11th and fly back later on that afternoon. Second, I want to recognize Tina Bishop for all the work she's done for disaster relief. She has taken carloads of stuff to the drop center. And then Beckley Elementary, they also did a drive for disaster relief, and they've taken over Carlos's stuff over to the center. So thank you guys all very much for all your efforts. On the youth exchange, Hannah, could you come up here, please? Okay, while she's coming up here, we are still looking for host families for March 6th to the 9th. We have 21, 22 students coming from all over the world that are in our district right now studying. This is just one of them. And Hannah has a few words to say as she's doing a fundraiser to go on a train trip.
Hi, dear Rotarians. So at the end of the year, we have an awesome train trip around all of America. Like, it's awesome, but it's very expensive, and I have to fundraise it myself. So I thought I do a raffle where I raffle a very Austrian dinner. So I'll cook schnitzel as a main course and Kaiserschmarrn as a dessert for 2 to 4 Rotarians. And the tickets are $25 per ticket. So if you want to win a dinner, please come to me.
Hi everyone, I'm Tony Kern, the immediate past president of this club. There's a couple of sign-up sheets in the Green Book that I want to draw your attention to. One that's been in there a while for Mad City Money. It's an opportunity for you to assist schools and students in high schools with money education. It's a lot of fun. A number of us have already done that a couple of times. There's one coming up in March with Clark High School that we represent or support their Interact Club. So take a look at that. The information's there. The second one is this month, February 27th. Chefs for Kids was one of our recipients of a community grant a couple of years ago. And this one is cooking up breakfast. And again, everything is in the Green Book, where we merely assist actual chefs cooking breakfast for an entire school. The school that's being the subject for our help is Vegas Verde Elementary School. We do have a new club there, the Vegas Verde Rotary Club. They will be there to assist as well, to become familiar with them. There will be 699 students and 91 staff members being fed. And it's an experience. We don't do any cooking. All we're doing is handing out and helping through the buffet line. And it's a meaningful experience. When you want to talk about a Rotary experience, the first one we did, a child looked and asked Bill Houghton, a former member here, "What's this?" The "this" was a grape. The child did not know what a grape is. It will only be about an hour and 15 minutes of your time, 7:30 to about 9:15. I actually not good on my time, but it's 7:30 to 9:15, so you can still make the Rotary meeting on Thursday, February 27th. If you have any questions, feel free to come ask me.
Okay, everyone, this is the last reminder for the corporate tour to CAE. The flyer's been running up above there. We have 6 places left. So if you want to attend this event, you need to get with Sean today, because we have to submit today the information for the background checks. It's $25. The funds will go to the foundation fund. So this is going to be a really nice event. So I'm hoping that we can fill our last 6 places. And it will be on the 25th of February at 2:30 in the afternoon, I believe it was. So haven't looked at the time recently, but we hope to fill it all the way. We can only have 25 people. So again, 6 places left. Please sign up.
Good afternoon. My name is Don Holland. I'm chairman of the Wetzel Award Committee. And today is Wetzel Award ceremony out at Nellis Air Force Base. We'll be meeting in the parking lot right outside the main gate at Nellis. So around 2:30, before 3, a bus should arrive in the parking lot and take us to the Airmen's Auditorium. And the Wetzel Award is something that's been that was started back in 2003. It's one of the signature projects of this club, and we honor 5 enlisted airmen who don't get a lot of attention, don't get a lot of kudos or pats on the back, and so this is something that's very important to them and part of this club. So if you haven't signed up already, please come on out. Some of us are carpooling, so we might be able to arrange convenient transportation if you like. So thank you very much. Oh, and one last thing. Today's ceremony is going to be a little bit special. We just learned recently that Colonel Scotty Wetzel, who the program is named after, his wife passed away recently. And so Scotty Wetzel's 2 daughters are expected to be there today. This is the first ceremony that we've had since their mother's passing. So thank you.
Thank you, Don. Robert, just stay right there at the table where all the teachers are, please, and start with any one of them, either Gwen or Michael, for an introduction.
Gwen Hall, and I'm the temporary liaison for Bracken. But first I want to point out that we have Reading Week coming up March 3rd through the 7th. We have 6 schools that you could choose from. And I want to know that if you haven't done it before, it's as rewarding as Santa Claus. And if some of you got some thank you notes from Santa Claus on your table, so you know that the kids really do appreciate it. So Stanica is the principal, and we welcome her many times.
Hi, thank you for having us. We're always very grateful to be here. We appreciate everything we receive, your money, your time, your attention to the needs of our students. So we are really thankful for that. And as Gwen said, please stop by Bracken and read during Nevada Reading Week. Students love listening to books, especially read by people they're not familiar with. So it's going to be a big attraction and focusing on reading and growing. So thank you if you can come. It would be a great pleasure. Today with me, I have Tracy, a wonderful, stellar 4th grade math teacher. So if you ever need any refreshing in math, please stop by, because I know when I go in her classroom, I'm learning more than the students, because I'm like, I remember doing that, I think. She's amazing. So thank you again for having us.
Michael is introducing me. So my name is Kristen Besch, and I'm representing Walter Long. Today I have with me Tracy Daly. She's our fabulous social worker. So all the things that Stanica said about her school apply to us as well. And we have a very strong need in our neighborhood for social work and for a lot of our students and their regulation of their behaviors and things like that. So having these wraparound services are amazing. Another amazing thing is we don't get a lot of volunteers for reading. So if you can volunteer, it really is. It is so fun. And you get to act out if you choose. I like to do it. But if you choose, you get to act out characters and voices, and the kids just eat it up, especially the little ones. It's a great place to get a smile and to make your heart feel warm. With all the budget cuts, let me just bring it home really quick. In education, we are being hit very hard. So we need your help now more than ever. We've appreciated everything that you guys have done for us over the years, and we would like to ask for that to continue, please. We just proposed or handed a grant to you guys for books, for birthday books. We have been, this year, we've been announcing on our loudspeaker in the morning student birthdays for the day. And it has been so successful, and our students get to come up to the office, they get to select a book and a sticker, and when they go back, they are just so joyful. A lot of them don't have books at home, and this is exciting. We get to keep this, and then they get to talk to their friends. Oh my gosh, you have the same birthday as me? Oh, my birthday is the same too. In 9 months from now, but it's the same. It's adorable. So anyways, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Welcome to lunch. Stu?
I briefly told you folks that we have 2 representatives from Hollingsworth here, and I want to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves as well.
I'm Julie Durham. I'm the assistant principal at Hollingsworth. and I'm lucky enough that I have our community liaison, Vanessa Sanders. She was, we appreciate you gave us the clothing for the Christmas store, so we have a little thank you notes we put around the table from our students. They really appreciated all of the clothing. We are in an area of great need, so everything that you give to us is always greatly appreciated and heartfelt. And we just want to say thank you. We continue to appreciate all that you do for us each and every day. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. All right, with that, I'm going to ask you to look at your little red tickets. We're going to raffle off some money here today, perhaps. I think the pot's up to, what, $45.87. Number is, last four digits are 8370. 8370. Murray, come on up. See if you can find the joker in this deck. No mirrors on your shoe, right? No. Queen of spades. Hold on, I'm going to get a picture. Right behind you there. There you go. That's it. Thank you, sir. And hold on. Thanks for playing.
I'll get a picture.
And for the lottery box, the number is 8469. 8469. Last four digits on that ticket is 8469 for the lottery box. Hey. All right. Loot has been taken. So I'm now going to bring up our presenter for introducing our speaker today, Darby Bryant.
So our speaker today at the Rotary Club of Las Vegas is Lynn Jessup. Lynn is a native of Northern California and the first person in his family to graduate from college. He graduated from California State at Chino with a BA in Information and Communication Studies, where he also got his MBA. He got a PhD in Management and Organizational Behavior from the University of Arizona. He later served as the Dean of the Business School at both the University of Arizona and Washington State. And most recently, many of you remember him, he was president of UNLV from 2015 to 2018. He left to go back to California for a while at Claremont College, where he was president there from 18 to 24. Retiring only last year, he moved back to Henderson, kept his home in Dragon Ridge. Lynn has a keen interest in innovation, entrepreneurship, and organizational change. And today he's going to talk about his big change and also the initiative that he calls the Desert Forge Ventures. Please welcome my good friend, Lynn Jessup.
Darby, thank you so much. Darby's been such a huge help to me, kind of re-engaging back in the Las Vegas Valley, and in particular with the thing that I'm involved in that I'm going to do next, and he's been a big help with that too. So let me just speak for a few minutes because I'm really interested more in your questions and comments, and observations, and so forth. I'll speak for a minute or two about UNLV. It's kind of got my UNLV table over there. A few words about my time at UNLV and one story in particular, and then I'll talk about what I'm working on next. It's so good to be back in the Valley. It's so good to be back here with you. I think as Kirk mentioned, I spoke. I lost track. 2, 3, maybe 4 times to this group back when I was president at UNLV. So I was 6 years down in Claremont. So it would have been the 4 years prior to that for those who were active in the meetings during that time. I have so many familiar faces in here. I'm sure many of you were here back then when I spoke. But anyway, so good to be back out. As Toby mentioned, we never left, really. We kept our home up in Dragon Ridge and would go back and forth quite a bit. My wife, Christy, who many of you know, really never left up here. She's got her own business here in town doing executive coaching and leadership development, especially values-based work, and probably 80% of her clients are here in the Las Vegas Valley, and so she's kind of stayed up here, and we commuted back and forth. I used the little Southwest flights from Ontario to Las Vegas quite a bit. I've racked up a lot of points going back and forth. But in any event, good to be back. So I mean, it was the thrill of a lifetime to be the president at UNLV. It was close to 3.5 years, close to 4 years. It was just terrific. I loved it, loved everything about it, made so many good friends. And that was a big part of us deciding that Las Vegas would be kind of our permanent place where we would stay and live in and retire. There was so much that I keep looking at you guys because we worked so much together, but so much that we all accomplished together during that short amount of time. Bo Bernard, who many of you know, and he was running Office of Economic Development. Keith just moved him over to be the head of advancement in the foundation at UNLV. And he's fond of saying this, and I didn't realize it until Bo told me that he said, Yale, launched a medical school back in 1902, and this school built a stadium in this year and launched a economic development initiative in this year. But no university did all of those things within about a 3 or 4 year period like UNLV did. There was so much that happened. It was just an incredible time to be in Las Vegas and to be at the university with the launching of the medical school, being able to be a part of the stadium deal with the NFL and the Raiders and getting Allegiant Stadium built with the Rebels as a part of that, and standing up a practice facility for football and a practice facility for baseball, plowing money into a lot of the other sports. And then, kind of all of it aimed at building UNLV to become a Carnegie R1. It's one of the big rankings. It's the top 100 or so research universities in the country, of which now UNLV is a part, a Carnegie 1 institution. And so a lot happened in a short amount of time. But I think back, people have asked me, which one of those things was the best or the coolest or that you're the most proud of? And honestly, it's none of those things. It's kind of the little things that I think back about that I'm the most proud of. And I'll give you an example of one. When I got started as president, as any good president does in your organization, you do a listening tour. So for the first 90 or 100 days of my presidency at UNLV, I went around to all the stakeholders, both inside the university and outside, and listened to everybody and all of their dreams and aspirations and hopes for the university, things they felt needed to be fixed or improved or added. You learn a lot, right, when you do that, and that sets you up then for success as a leader and then leading and implementing a lot of the changes that you're hearing about that are needed. One of the stakeholder groups that I met with on campus one day was the groundskeepers for the university. And for those of you that have been on the campus, it's a beautiful long quad kind of in an L shape, and it's actually quite beautiful, heavily tree lined, a beautiful rose garden. That groundskeeping crew is terrific, very proud of what they do. So I'm meeting with them, the stakeholder group. The supervisor, Conrad Wilson, is there. And Conrad, interestingly, didn't say anything during that meeting. I was kind of surprised about that. Conrad came up to me afterward and, very respectful. He's now retired, but he was very respectful and said, "Mr. President, I'd like to come and have a private meeting with you, and I've got my executive assistant, Fred Tredup, is with me." And I said, "Absolutely, Fred, we'll get us together. We'll set up a meeting." So the next week, Conrad comes up to the office in Flora Dungan Hall. Imagine the courage that it takes for the groundskeeping supervisor to come up. And so we're in the office, and he gets right down to business, and I still have no idea what it is he wants to talk about. And he says, "Mr. President, you know that UNLV still has, he says, it has a very generous tuition benefit that faculty can take advantage of. And I said, I do know that because I got a lot of friends here on faculty already that I knew because I was a business school person, and so I knew a lot of the business school faculty. And I said, yeah, I know that. Their kids and their dependents and their husbands, wives, partners get to go to the university for next to nothing. I mean, it's practically free. It's an incredible benefit to the employees. And I said, yeah, I know that. Faculty, it's great. Mr. President, you know that people in leadership roles like you also can take advantage of the benefit, and the professional staff, like Fred was in the room with us, the executive assistant. And I said, I didn't realize that. I thought it was maybe just for faculty, but that's good to know. And then here comes the point of the meeting. Mr. President, did you know this very generous tuition benefit is not available to the classified staff like myself? The groundskeepers and the bookkeepers and the people that not only make the university work, I mean, they really make the university go, but you could argue it's kind of socio-economically probably need the tuition benefit more than anyone. They literally can't afford to send their kids at the time to the university. And I said, wow, Conrad, I didn't know that. And he said, Mr. President, we need to do something about that. And I said, you're right, we do. And that took the better part of about a year and maybe a year and a half to get done. It was a lot harder to do than I thought it should have been. There were a lot of politics that got in the way of getting that fixed and remedying that problem that I won't go into. We're not negative, so I won't get into that. But we got it done, and I give credit to Conrad Wilson because not only did he bring it up and had the courage to push it with the new president, but then you guys might remember that went through several hearings at Regents meetings, and Conrad was relentless. He was there every one of those meetings in the public comment at the mic, speaking very strongly for why that needed to get done, and really kind of is the guy that pushed it over and got it accomplished. Think about, so now that's available. That tuition benefit is available to everybody, including the classified staff, the groundskeepers like Conrad, now retired. But think about the transformational, generational effect on families that had, that now the groundskeeper's son or daughter can go to the new medical school or the law school, the Boyd Law School or the business school or whatever they want to do for next to nothing. Generational, transformational family effect. It's things like that that were accomplished at UNLV that I'm the most proud of, even though we did some pretty fun, kind of highfalutin stuff. But there was stuff like that we did that's true impact. And I learned a lot about what it means to be a leader in service to others and really making it count. Selfless leadership. So I transitioned down to Claremont, and I was there, did a term in a little bit, about 6 years, running one of the little Claremont colleges in Southern California. What a fun way to end my that chapter of my life, the higher ed administration. There are great little private schools in a consortium in LA. I often joke that it kind of like the Ivy League, but with better weather. The little Claremont colleges are quite nice, about 35 miles inland from LA, tucked up in the foothills of the San Gabriels. It was a great experience. I'd never went to a private, couldn't afford it, never worked at a private college, but I got to finish out at one, and it was terrific. I really loved it. 6 years, retired, and I came back up this past summer. Again, as I mentioned, we kept our home up in Dragon Ridge. Moved back up this summer. I got really good advice from somebody you probably know, very active on UNLV's Foundation Board of Trustees, Randy Garcia, an investment manager here in town, and manages money for several hundred families here in the Las Vegas Valley. And Randy said basically, his advice was longer than this, but essentially he just said, man, don't rush into anything. Because I was retiring from higher ed administration. I'm 63, so I still got a lot of road left to go on my journey. And so I wanted to be active, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And he said, you're going to have a lot of stuff coming at you, and just take your time and don't rush into anything. Just take at least the summer until you kind of figure things out. It was very good advice, and that's what I did. In fact, I took a little longer than that. So I'm on some business boards, and I'm helping a bunch of startups because I was a business school professor in technology and entrepreneurship. A lot of experience out in the startup and entrepreneurial space and venture investing. And so that was always something I was always doing. I always had my day job, either running a business school or running the university, but I was always doing that kind of out on the side. So when I came back, I landed and quickly found myself back helping a bunch of startups. And also, the university asked me to sign up with the Lindsay Institute, so I technically am a fellow at the Lindsay Institute, the little public policy think tank. And that means I get to do whatever I want and do cool research with students and looking into things that we think are interesting. We're just about to conclude a study that'll be made available here. The report will come out here within a matter of weeks. A study of the startup ecosystem in the Las Vegas Valley. Because the 6 years that I was gone, my sense was, wow, I'm hearing that things have really grown since I left. The startup ecosystem had really heated up. And I'll give you the punchline to the report. We got good data from there's an organization called Deal Room that tracks startups and investment into them all over the world. And I'll give you two quick little factoids from Deal Room that we have in the report, and it's kind of the bulk of our conclusions. You realize that the Las Vegas ecosystem has heated up, and in fact, in 2022 and 2023, Las Vegas, measured in terms of investment into startups for those couple of years, where do you think it ranked among cities in the United States? So not by volume, but by percentage sort of year-over-year growth of investment and startup activity. It ranked 5th. It was in the top 5, for those 2 years, which is amazing. And then another one that just floored us was that if you looked at all the startups operating right now and that have been in existence for 10 years or so, kind of going back over a decade. So it would include Switch, the data center company, Zappos, the Tony Hsieh operation, Boxable, that Tarby's been involved in and helping to launch, TensorWave, number of other great startups. What do you think the value is of all those startups collectively right now? It's $19 billion. $19 billion just in those startups. It's staggering. So that's a conclusion of the report is the startup ecosystem has gone crazy here. It's really growing. Founders are moving into the valley, no state income tax, no capital gains, relatively easy to do business. Founders are moving here, getting out of the Silicon Valley and Southern California, for example, and coming over into Vegas. It's really heating up. So, final thing I'll say is I've been, ever since I started at UNLV, it was 10 years ago, almost to the day that I started, we knew that we wanted to build UNLV to be a Carnegie R1 research university, but that wasn't the end in itself. We were doing that because we knew Las Vegas needed that as an engine of growth and social and economic opportunity here in the Las Vegas Valley, that Las Vegas needed UNLV to kind of grow up and become a research university among the top 100 or so in the country, and it has. So that was the goal behind what we were doing. We built out an Office of Economic Development. We created mechanisms for tech transfer and commercialization. We knew that as the research started to grow, stuff was going to spin out from that. Companies, inventions, and technology would spin out. We laid the groundwork for the Harry Reid Research Park. In fact, we dedicated that while I was here. We built the building that Blackfire Innovation is in and kind of set the groundwork for all of that. We knew one day we would need a venture capital fund. We just, it wasn't ready when I was here back as president, but we knew that one day that would be needed. So ever since I've been back, I've been advising the team in the Office of Economic Development, namely Zach Miles and Jamie Schwartz and Bo Bernard, on now standing up a venture capital fund, and that's what I'm doing. That's now my full-time gig. We were going to call it Blackfire Capital to kind of go along with Blackfire Innovation. But we decided that the best practice around the country is that these funds are outside of the university and totally separate from the university, although they're aimed back at the university. So to show that it was separate, like more than an arm's length for the university, totally separate organization, we've called it, and I've now incorporated the companies. It's called Desert Forge Ventures, an appropriate name for Las Vegas. It's technically two companies, an LLC and a little LP is the way you structure a venture capital fund. We've got a little bit of paperwork we're finishing off with the state. The companies are foreign, but there's some paperwork around raising money that we'll file with the state and the SEC. And so we're just a short time away from me officially being able to raise money for the fund. We're targeting a $25 million fund. The thesis is, the goal is, I just want to grow companies, and this was my goal when I came here as president, coming in as a business school dean and professor. As president here, my goal 10 years ago was I wanted to grow companies so the university would help launch and grow companies that would stay, kind of stick and stay in the Las Vegas Valley, growing great companies that stay here to help to not only grow but diversify the economy in Las Vegas and therefore in the state, so that we'd be more robust, recession resistant, more sustainable over the long term, the economy would be. So that's the goal of the fund. So we're aimed at UNLV, any of the neat inventions coming out of the university. Also, though, anything that we see interesting in the Las Vegas Valley. And then third is, if we see a company somewhere else in the region, maybe it could even be internationally, and if we think that startup is better off here, we'll move it here and we'll fund it, but that's contingent on them being here and then staying in this environment. And I'll end with this. It was a great lesson for me when I was back at University of Arizona. I was there as a student, graduate student, and then got to go back 20 years later to be the dean of the business school. And Tarby's heard this story. When I was there as a student in the late 80s, the local company that hired most of the business school students was Raytheon, not a surprise. Then when I went back as dean, that had switched, and it was a startup from the university, a spin-out, that was hiring most of the business school students. It was called Ventana Medical Systems at the time. It was a medical school professor doing cancer diagnostics research and starts the company in Tucson, actually in Oro Valley. It got bought by Roche, but what was perfect and just beautiful about it was Roche kept it in Tucson. And it's now Roche Tissue Diagnostics in Tucson. A great employer, lots of tax revenue, incredible jobs. So I got to see that when I came back as dean, and so I kind of had that as the lesson as I was coming up to UNLV to be president. That's what really sparked for me and led to the goal for the fund. I want to do a dozen Ventana Medical Systems and a lot of companies like that here in the Valley. So that's kind of what we're driving at, what we're trying to accomplish. Desert Forge Ventures, and you'll be hearing more about it soon. Let me stop there. Kirk, is that okay? And Tarby, and we still have time for some questions, maybe. And so I'd love to hear questions, comments, concerns, anything. Just raise a hand. Yeah, how about over here? Thank you.
First of all, as an alum of UNLV, I wanted to apologize for the way you were treated when you were president.
Oh, you don't have to do that. No, that's all right. That's good. That's all right.
We had a couple of regents that were elected to the level of their incompetence.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. I don't regret anything. I had a great experience.
My question is this. The Nevada and Texas now are hot for companies to move their state of incorporation. And I know it's great for Nevada, especially if it can build on that. However, I remember Justice Hardesty spoke to our club 8 years ago, who was a great justice of the Nevada Supreme Court, and he said he'd like to start a court of chancery here like they have in Delaware. And so all these companies, these major corporations, established their incorporation in Delaware for the Chancery Court, where they had a chance of having a judge that actually knew business law.
Yeah.
That was their primary, value added. They'd get a fair shake from a judge that, knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
But now this movement away from Delaware is for exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
And I won't go into names and famous people and all that stuff, and $25 billion bonus and all that stuff. As a retired money manager who knows Randy Garcia, by the way, very well, there's a little chagrin behind this because of the movement to states that have lax regulations. At least that's the way the RJ said in the paper this week. Yeah. So any comment on the state of law for incorporation? Maybe it's an unfair question.
No, it's fine. Interesting, but I think it was in the Wall Street Journal. I just saw a piece within the last week or two. Maybe somebody else saw it too, and maybe it wasn't Wall Street Journal. I thought that's where I saw it. And it was about the move away from Delaware to states like Nevada for reincorporating. And even though the courts still are not quite the way they need to be from a business point of view, and even though we all like the K through 12 system to be better, and there's a number of things that we all work so hard on improving here, companies are coming here and founders are coming here anyway. They're coming here anyway because it's so attractive in so many other dimensions. And I'm just to make the point, I've got 2 startups I'm helping that are based in Taiwan at the moment. We were initially thinking we needed to have the domicile in the United States. We were going to do Delaware, we've incorporated them in Nevada. I just think it's better for a variety of reasons. The environment's better. It's a better environment to operate in. The founders, think about the young and the mind of the young founder, and they're not thinking about the court system and is it set up for success for me if somebody tries to sue me in the business. They're thinking that you got to put yourself in the mind of a 22-year-old young woman or young man starting a company. No no personal income tax, no capital gains tax, relatively easy on business taxes, relatively low regulation, relatively inexpensive to stand up a company and get space compared to Palo Alto or Austin or wherever you're going to go. And the weather's great, and it's just a fun place to be for anybody, but particularly for somebody in their 20s. And they're coming here anyway. It's amazing. It's drawing people in despite, that's not the best environment maybe legally yet. Yeah. There was another one right near there, and there was a hand. Yeah.
Thank you. And we were all excited to see you on as our speaker today. And I'm going to basically be reiterating for the benefit of some of our members who weren't here, who are newer to this community. Losing you to California was a travesty for our university and for our community. And we miss you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's all good. It's good to be back, and I'm glad to be doing what I'm doing now. This is going to have a huge impact on things here over the next several decades. I'm happy to be here and be doing what I'm doing. It all worked out. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Len. Thank
you
again for being here.
Yeah.
My wife, my son, and myself have lived 55 years in Boston. We still have a home here, although we spend more time. And
perhaps the first entrepreneurial hotbed. Yeah.
Yeah, and I specifically want to mention that because the formula for business creation and innovation there is I think, fairly well known. They have a couple globally recognized centers of excellence: MIT, the Media Lab, the AI Lab, BU, Photonics Center, and MIT in particular, company I was working for, helped them set up the industrial liaison program that you created a lot of interaction. There's a very aggressive patent and licensing operation. I guess I know about the Harry Reid Park, but it doesn't seem like UNLV is being aggressive in any of those areas in terms of picking a particular area to become the center of excellence and setting up formal industrial liaison programs and aggressive patent and licensing. And is there anything in the wind to push any of that?
No, it's a great question. There's a lot happening. It's not at the level of, you mentioned BU, Boston University or MIT or Carnegie Mellon nearby, but quite active. The Office of Economic Development has definitely grown up. As UNLV became an R1, that means that you're hiring research faculty. You're putting them in great labs, supplying them with with the money they need to have graduate students so they can then start the process of discovery. And that's happening, especially in engineering. Medical school now is new, mostly focused on teaching, but it'll eventually start to focus on research as well. But so those engines, the pistons are starting to fill in, especially in the engineering college. It's quite good now. We've made I'll just give one quick one. We've made a commitment, for example, already to a startup coming out of UNLV called Waver. Jeremy is the faculty member in mechanical engineering. People have gotten really good at being able to pull water out of humid air, but up until now it's been very difficult to pull water out of arid climates and desert climates. Jeremy, mechanical engineering professor, gets the idea from a desert frog that draws air in through its skin quite efficiently, and so it can go a long time without drinking anything just by pulling the air out of the water out of the air in a desert environment. So it's atmospheric water harvesting. So he simulates the skin in a gel membrane, and he's got a unit that looks like an air conditioning unit, and he's got a bunch of these layers of this gel membrane, and he's got a saline solution that he runs that also helps in the process. He pulls air in over these little skins, and it draws water out of the air here in the desert. He's got several of his prototypes working around the valley. Quite amazing technology that came out of a really good burgeoning engineering college at UNLV. So they've grown quite a bit, but that's why I said I got 3 levels. UNLV is still not enough to supply the deal flow to make a fund work. So that's why we're pulling out of UNLV, plus anything in the Valley, plus we'll move companies here so that we can get the deal flow that we need while we wait for UNLV to continue to grow up. To put it in perspective, they just hit about 110 million. UNLV just hit about 110 million in grant funding. University of Arizona just topped $1 billion in grant funding. So they're getting there. They're starting, and we're really happy to see what they're doing. But they got a ways to go still to become like a Boston university. Yeah.
Lynn, how is the Rebel Fund going to be integrated into Desert Forge?
Yeah.
How do you plan to use Leith, Martin?
Yeah, thanks. The Rebel Venture Fund is where the students that are majoring in business and a lot of other areas get to practice with a little fund and make investments. There are so many good little pre-seed adventures like that going on in this valley. That part has actually gotten quite sophisticated. There's the Rebel Venture Fund. There's what Tarby's doing with Gathering of Angels, quite sophisticated. Startup NV has a pre-seed fund. They're now starting 1864 as kind of more of a seed fund. There's actually thank you for that. There's a lot of great things like that we'll draw on, and that'll be feeders into Desert Forge and the kind of proper venture capital fund. And I've got, I just hired one of the graduates from UNLV in finance who was participated on the Rebel Venture Fund. Crystal San Diego will be our analyst. She's a fresh UNLV grad. And then we've picked up 2 UNLV students currently to be interns, Sean Curry, majoring in economics, and Chris Rosales, who's now the director of the Rebel Venture Fund, will be an intern as well. Yeah, thanks. If there's time, there's another hand or what? Last one, okay.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Good to see you back in town.
Thank you.
I'm going to take us off topic since you can give us the non-politically correct answer. Because when we had the UNLV president and asked about NIL and the conference realignments, we got a very mushy answer. You're just coming out of that environment. I'm kind of curious your thoughts on everything that's going on with college athletics. Thank you.
Yeah, and I played baseball at a little junior college in California a long time ago. College athletics, as we know it, is over. It's over. The evolution going on right now is not done yet. We sort of haven't settled in on the model yet. There's more changes to come. It's awful. I mean, I was supportive of NIL because coaches were making a lot of money, and so it was fair that athletes got to benefit from that. So the O'Bannon lawsuit, I think, led to some good things. It led to NIL and a number of other things, and I think it's good. But the NCAA put very few guardrails around NIL. It's the wild, wild west again. And then you combine that, the kind of pay to play with the portal and athletes being able to leave, in the middle of a season or after just one season. Not even in the NFL do you do that. You've got to honor your contract and at least stay through the contract for a few years. The combination of NIL and the portal has made it awful on coaches and on the university. I predict that the evolution will continue in football and in men's basketball and maybe a couple of other sports, maybe including women's basketball, but just a few of the sports, and especially football and basketball, are going to continue to evolve into a national league, like the NFL. 2 big divisions, it's all about, you're all aiming toward the Super Bowl and a playoff. So we're not done yet with the league realignments. I think we're going to continue to evolve toward a national playoff system, even more than we're doing now with 12 teams. And I think all the other sports, everything else, men's and women's soccer, swimming and diving, the lacrosse team, all the Olympic sports, baseball, I think they all got pulled up into these, into the Big 12 or the Pac-12 dissolved. Our goal was to try to get into the Pac-12. It no longer exists, technically speaking. I think all the other sports are going to end up, it's not going to work to fly the lacrosse team across the country, to play, to compete. University of Arizona going to West Virginia, for example, they're going to fly commercial. That's not going to work. So I think in a season or two, all those other sports are going to migrate back home again, back into regional leagues. They'll leave football and basketball as a big national playoff scheme, and everything else I think is going to go back to regional leagues. It has to, because you can't afford to fly everybody all around the country. It doesn't work, and it's not good for the student athletes. So, yeah. Thank you. Good to see everybody. Thanks.
Where's Samantha? Samantha leave? Anybody got an iPhone? Someone got a phone? Anybody? Get a picture? Yeah. Oh, you got it? Good. All right. We're giving Lynn a certificate to our Happy Feet community. Share the shoes. Okay, this is all about Soul Power Awards. Maybe you even got this before. That sounds fun. Well, we're doing it again, and we'll be honoring children with your name in your name. It's a pair of shoes. All right, excellent. Thank you for speaking with us today. Appreciate it. All right, and with that, in the words of the RI president, Stephanie Yurchik, she believes in our members and calls on them to recognize and amplify the organization's power to save lives. Meeting adjourned.